Hi everyone, my name is Ivami Adedini, and you're welcome to the third episode of the Energy and Climate Leadership Series. Uh, this series was started basically to bring experts in the African energy industry to discuss some of the challenges to a sustainable energy future and for them to provide possible solutions. So over the years at the Energy Intelligence, what we've been trying to do is to promote sustainable practices across all sectors. And today we have a guest uh, who is going to be sharing some of the things he feels Africa needs to put in place for a successful energy transition. Today I have Toyosi Craig. So I'm just going to read some things from Toyosi's bio. Toyosi Craig is a renewable energy professional with experience in energy research, international business development, and policy analysis. He has few innovations in solar energy, some of which have won awards globally. Toyosi is passionate about providing energy access to everyone in Africa. He has developed protocols, roadmaps, and policy instruments to assist stakeholders in private and public institutions make informed decisions with regards to energy plan and investment. He is a certified energy manager with a PhD in industrial engineering from Stellenbosch University, certificates from Technical University of Munich, both in Germany, Wharton Business School in Pennsylvania, US, and a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Fulton, Nigeria. Dr. Toyosi is well published and a reviewer for 5 international journals. He recently published his memoir, Omo Toyosi, The Child of Delight, which is available on Amazon. Great to have you here, Toyosi.
Yes, thank you very much, Yobami. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on my passion. It's
Okay,
always
great.
great to speak.
Yeah, yes. So you have a beautiful resume here, and I must say I'm quite impressed. But then before we go ahead, I like you to share some of your career highlights. How did you get to where you are now?
How did I get here? I'm a Nigerian, so I started from Nigeria. I was born in Abeokuta in Ogun State, in southwest Nigeria. And yes, I did well in secondary school, I believe. So I really didn't know much about what other kids were doing in high school. Because I grew up later on in life to start hearing a lot about the things I missed. I was born to a house of, I mean, my parents were both teachers. They're both retired now. So then you have to study like every day. So, which is not spectacular to me, but every other African child who has a dream to be successful. That's normal among our people. So when there, from there, I went to study mechanical engineering. Also faced the challenge of admission in Nigeria, which is, I'm just saying this to encourage anyone out there. I think my first jam was like 265, and that's before I even wrote my egg, yet I didn't get into school. So, but everything worked together well. I eventually went to FUTA, Federal University of Technology, Akure, in Nigeria. I did well, fairly well. I made an invention, which is the pounded yam making machine. I think that's the first thing that catapulted me out there. So, but interestingly, I'll be walking on the street and I'll be hearing people saying, the guy that invented pounding machine is now in Japan. He's a millionaire. And I was busy there. I'm sure even maybe you have heard there's a guy that invented pounded the making machine. He's a millionaire. But then we're not really taught about commercialization of innovations, which is what is still lacking a bit. So, but anyway, from there, I served in Wari, worked in oil and gas. And then was when I was working in oil and gas that I realized that the future is renewable energy. Because interestingly, the place I was working, kind of that thing, I was still speaking with some people in Wari, that's the Wari refinery. I was working with one of my mentors in a company that serviced them. So that's when I realized, like, no, man, the future is green. And I started looking for opportunities, which I found in South Africa. And I came to Stellenbosch. I arrived Stellenbosch in 2014 with one-way ticket, interestingly. But I received favor diligently and working hard, eventually got scholarship. Everybody needs a helper. So I met someone there, Robert Dobson, who was my mentor, believed in me so much and trust me from where we come from. If you were studying 8 hours when there's no electricity using candles, So how much more when you have free internet, when you have electricity, and then somebody say, "Do well, I'll pay your school fees." So of course, I gave it my all. Yeah, and thank God I did well. Made another invention in solar. Not to talk too much. That's how my life took a solar turn. So I'll say it took a solar turn because then I had an invention, a solar cooking system that cooks even when there's no sun. And that's how I got the national award I got in South Africa, and that's how my life changed. So from then on, also being a hardcore engineer, but in order to know how to manage innovation, which we are lacking in Africa, people just invent, you see their pictures online, and that's the end. So that's what made me to go more into engineering management and industrial, because policies and presenting your ideas to people is sometimes more important than even getting the idea. So, and that's what I've been doing. Finished my PhD, and then I've been in that line, working in solar PV development, solar CSP, whatever has to do with clean energy or whatever I have to make clean energy. And then, like I said, I'm passionate about making energy available to all Africans. So that's how I've come. Thank you.
Interesting, interesting. You mentioned the fact that when you invented the pounding machine, right? That people started going about that the guy that invented it is not a millionaire, is not in Japan, and all of that. Now, I like to say, does that put a kind of undue responsibility on you? Was there a kind of
No,
pressure on you to now
no,
live up to it?
no. No, remember, before that, I think maybe I'll send you a copy of my book. Remember, before then, I've been doing some human rights activities like youth development. I've met the president. I've done a lot of things, which made me famous. Not you, you will actually not even think academically sound if you see me out there doing some youth activities, or we call it struggle. So, long story short, I think it inspired me because the day I decided I know I had to leave Nigeria, we were playing soccer. Actually, apart from some other things that followed that, I now found South Africa. But before then, I was playing soccer, and then you'll be seeing people pointing finger to me like, "Ah, I thought they said this guy was smart. He's back from university. We are all playing soccer together." Because I tried to find job after I resigned from my oil and gas job, and I couldn't find. You see, so it inspired me, and I had good people around me who I knew like if your dream is so clear to you, even if everything is down, nothing can stop you. So then I was kind of trying to prove them right. Like you see, I'm not in Japan, but I'll do what is greater than what people in Japan does. So, but yeah, it's inspired me, not intimidated or no, it's inspired me.
So, I,
You are
so
mute.
how has been the journey so far? How's been the journey so far?
It's
Yes, I'm asking this because so that the audience can get to know you before you start speaking on some policy issues.
okay. The journey so far has been good. I've been exposed. I was lucky. God, I received grace that immediately, or even before I finished my PhD, I started working already. So eventually, when I finished, I just moved straight into the industry where I had to be flying all over Africa. And that made me understand everything that is happening in Africa in terms of renewable energy. So my job
Hmm.
kind of had me from 2017 thereabout. I've had to interact with government officials, the power producers themselves, the end users, the meter, the people that make meter, everything, the whole value chain. Let me put it like that. And that opened my eyes because if I say I have a dream of making energy available to Africans, it's not about just building solar plants. How does it get to the last person, and how are they able to afford it? And solar doesn't work at night. How do we make battery cheaper? And or if we are not going to use, but how do we incorporate other technologies? How do we form a grid that is clean? And my summary from there, from your question to answer it, is what I learned is when GSM, I think it's Namibia, it's one of the countries that never had a landline before. But because the world is now using GSM, when they were going to have telephone, they didn't say, no, let's start from landline. They just joined the GSM. What am I saying? There's so many African, South Sudan, like 1% access to electricity, like people like that. Then it doesn't mean because now France is using a lot of nuclear, then we must also start from there. Let's use nuclear. The world is going green. So if you are joining now, you join at that level. and we have every resources. Nigerians, Africans are everywhere in the world. Go to Harvard, MIT. I think I've been to every every industrial hub of the world, and there's nowhere you won't find an African doing something great. So we have the capability. So that's what I've found so far.
So now, speaking of solar energy, right? It brings the question: when you're talking about a just energy transition, and then you just oppose it with the fact that the African economy is fueled, right, by fossil fuel. Pardon the pun. You know, how do we ensure a just energy transition?
Yeah, I think if I could just run through my slide from there, then I can
Okay,
give more details on this. I don't know if I can just do that now.
sure.
I hope you're able to see it. And maybe you can also ask anyone watching in the audience
Okay.
to notify you if they are able to see my screen. Um,
All right, if you're watching and you're able to see the screen, you could just make drop some comments so we know. Because from my hand here, I can't see it.
it says StreamYard, it says I'm sharing the screen. But anyway, I like to confirm first before I go if people can see my screen. Is there anyone watching that can see my screen? Please let
But
me know.
then, mm,
Is there anyone watching from your side?
yes, yes.
Are they able to
But
see the screen?
no comment yet. I'm still waiting for comments. But then, if we're able to get comments, we could just go
Okay,
ahead and
okay, okay. Just to answer your question, I'm a green energy advocate. Yes, I want green energy, but there's one of the things I also say when it comes to energy, and that's why I wanted to share my screen. When it comes to energy sufficiency, or when it comes to energy transition, which is transition is also like when they say just transition, it's like I put it in my slide. It's more like realistic, measurable, achievable kind of transition.
mm,
Like you see, for example, we don't even have enough power. They say 600 million Africa have no access to electricity, right? That's one. And then we say 600 million people have no access to electricity. It doesn't mean then like, okay, everybody, let's roll out solar. Solar has its part, wind has its part, every energy has its part. So what I
mm.
was trying to pass across was I wanted to first kind of say, okay, if I say that there are some basic thing that is very important when it comes to energy, and that's what I was saying. Like we need to think about availability. Maybe I should just run through then. Did you get any comments from anyone?
I didn't. I didn't get any comments.
Okay. Okay, so I think can I start? I'll just run through from here, and it's very you don't have to see the slide to understand it. So yeah, so anyway, I believe it should be showing. Yeah, I'm sure it's showing. So what I did is I divided what I wanted to talk about into two, which is energy security and challenges of renewable energies in Africa. Then the second part is energy transition. So I just kind of try to put it out there what people believe as the definition of of energy security, which is more like adequate and reliable supply of energy resources. So what I said here is I don't believe that definition is perfect because it only focuses on economic security. So I then tend to say, like, when we say energy security, we mean economic security, environmental security, as well as national security. So before going to the transition, and I tried to speak about different perspective to energy. So I said the first one with some nice picture. I wish you could see it. So I said scientific perspective, which means availability of resources. Because I know what you're talking about. For example, our base load is heavily dependent on fossil fuel. South Africa on coal, Nigeria on oil and gas. Let me put it like that. And the same in many other African countries. Of course, we have lots of hydro in some places, but of course, we have higher fossil fuel. So what I was saying is when we're looking at energy in perspective, The availability is not just available resources, but also the finished product. Because if you see Nigeria, for example, we have lots of crude oil, yet the refined gas, or let's say the usable diesel, is often imported, which is a challenge. And do we think that is sustainable? Apart from talking about climate change or the rest, is that sustainable? So the next one I say is engineering, which is applicability of that technology. Now, because there's a technology that I'm an expert in, it's called CSP, concentrating solar power, where you use the mirror to focus the sun on a central receiver or on the heat receiving tube, where you can use that to generate large electricity in the same capability as coal plants. It's different from solar PV. Now, that particular technology uses a kind of resources that is very available in South Africa and Namibia, for example, but not so available in Nigeria. And that's why I mean that is that applicable? Like what is good for the geese is not necessarily good for the gander. So if you are talking about transition in Africa, we also need to look at it from that perspective. What is applicable in each nation? So the next two ones are rushed through it is environmental acceptability, which I'll talk about like nuclear. There was a time I heard some African countries were trying to do nuclear. South Africa is still on it, debatable. Nuclear is a good energy source. We know it's usable, we know it's cheap, we know it's reliable, but is it acceptable? You can't go to Japan now and tell them that you want to use nuclear energy, for example. So, although it's usable, but the environmental conditions in Japan will not allow it. The other part will be the economic aspect, which is very important to Africa. Are we able to afford it? If the energy is cheap, it's fine, it's green, even tell me it's green or what. But can you quantify it with what I'm paying for my diesel generator now? If you understand what I mean, is it cheaper?
Hmm.
Or if you go to the village, does it make sense? Or okay, you say you want to use this energy, but it's only available at this time. What do you think I can do in the other time? So, like for example, if you are selling solar and you have not actually done a very good model to show how the hybrid works, because it does work, you may have a problem because when you go to a customer and you tell them, I'm going to give you solar, but you will still be running your generator at night. Some of them will just say, my friend, it's okay, I'm fine. If I'm still running my generator, I'd rather run it 24 hours. And another challenge is people are more comfortable and scared of change, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes. So I spoke about diversification here. I put a picture of AFDB where they say 100% renewable energy in Africa. They're ambitious, they say 2025. But let's work with 2030. So I said here that we need to protect our climate and our future, which I believe is one of the reasons why you started what you're doing, which I really commend you for. I said we need to harness our inexhaustible energy resources, which is sun, wind, water, whatever it is that is clean. At the same time, we need to also find better or cleaner ways to use existing natural resources, but in a limited way. And then we need to be aggressive about our commitment. I'm sure you know about Paris Agreement, something Accord, these are called SDG 7, so many things, a lot of English. But what matters is we need to be aggressive about it. And that's why I say, hence, there's a need for just energy transition. So I just
Hmm.
said that like, before we transit to clean energy, there's some basic things which I've found that is a problem, or that the problem that renewable energy is facing in Africa. This is from my own personal view. I know there's a lot out there, but I'll just try to speak on those that are not too obvious. Which is we know about low internal rate of return, which is not as profitable as others. I mean, somebody said to me sometimes ago, if you invest X amount of money in oil, you make X amount of money. I don't think you make the same amount of money in renewables, but you will make your profit and it's reliable. And the impact on our environment, you can't quantify it. Of
Hmm.
course, we have issues with lack of capability. I often say this like there's one African country, people say I should stop mentioning the name, that we were going to build a solar plant and we inquired for local IPPs or local EPCs. And they told us like 250 local companies can do solar. By the time we did due diligence, we were only able to find three. So lack of
Hmm.
capability is also a big issue. Another one is short financing, which I'll talk about more, and then various risks. So when I say short financing, renewable energies can only fly, and I'm trying to answer all your questions together. So
It's
renewable
perfect.
energy can only fly if we get long-term finances. And this is the problem in Africa because African economy is bank dominated. What does that mean? That means, bank is only able to provide short to medium term loan. I don't think any bank will provide loans at more than 10 years. And then because these energy resources, because the cost of the capex, the cost of building it is a bit high, and we also actually want to balance it. Although the cost is high to build it, you want your returns to be low so that the client or the customers are able to afford it, right? So you
Hmm.
have to spread it over a long time. You may only start making profit at the year 8, right? You can make little, little profit, but the profit is later at the end when it pays off. So, but no
Hmm.
bank will borrow you money more than 5 years to 10 years. So that's a major problem that we even face even here in South Africa. Convincing back to it's rarely you'll find bank that will go more than 7 years, which makes it a bit difficult. It's doable but more difficult.
Hmm.
So I said here that we need finances that can be stretched over 15 to 20 years. It's possible. There are other financial houses like pension funds, like insurance fund. There are other kind of which we don't have a lot in Africa. I think South Africa is a bit more matured in that aspect than the Northern African market. They have more of investment funds available in terms of things like that. How many people in West Africa have pension funds? The pension is even regulated by the government. You can't see any trader on the street that can tell you I have pension fund. It's only people working for the government or for very highly organized organizations that will have pension funds. So we don't really have that. How many people can access investment fund or those kind of funds, which is also a challenge that renewable energy is facing. Lastly, on that aspect, I say various risks are the reasons why we are having issues with transition to new green energy. So I said technological risk, which I've already mentioned about local capability, and then the usability of that technology in that area, right? And then feasibility risk, which means does it make sense? Can it actually be usable in terms of you have to combine different kind of energy resources, green energy resources in order to balance. Let's say you want to run 24 hours on renewable energy. So you have to combine different resources. These things are available, but because they are fairly new, convincing people to adopt it can also be challenging. The major one I wrote here is foreign exchange, which is what I have seen personally in these few years I've been around. It's like people are even scared to invest in Africa. I'll use Nigeria as a case study. Nigeria dollar to naira was 150. In the space of 6 months, it went to like 500. Now, imagine if you have invested your money and the client the project you invested your money in, they are billing their clients in naira. So the money you are supposed to get back in 5 years, they are not able to even get it back in 10 years. So that risk is there. And then the risk of some countries, Nigeria is still fair because things went back normal. You can always repatriate your money. Nigeria, South Africa, some Ghana, some very, even Kenya, some top or economically matured African countries, you can repatriate your money. But there are some African countries, which also happened to Nigeria some times ago, where you were not allowed to change money. So you are not able to take out your money. So it's a bit dangerous. No one wants to, it's rare to invest in Zimbabwe now, for example, because you don't know what will happen to the currency tomorrow. And that's where I ended that aspect by saying, is the project bankable? And I'll crack a joke for you. I'm not sure if you're aware. What I found out recently is because I've been wondering why do people or banks will tell you, because I work in that aspect a lot. Bank will tell you, bring your project, we'll finance it tomorrow. Just bring it tomorrow. Then you get everything, you get there. And then they start postponing. So it was one of these courses I was having. I had a question and I was rubbing mind with someone from Asian Development Bank. It was actually a course I did in Asian Development Bank Institute last week. And the man was like, maybe it's just because renewable energy is getting cheaper every year. So it's better for me if I'm supposed to invest 2 million this year on this project. I know the same project will cost 1.5 million next year, and I'm still making the same return. Why don't I wait? If you understand what I'm saying. So, and that's a major challenge. Now, how do we do that? Should we say we should find a way to peg the cost of new technology, which we always go down, or do we convince investors that please don't? Because you can see someone that invested in, for example, the price uh, of PV per watt is particularly X amount last year. In 2 years' time, it may be half. So someone that invested last year and someone that is investing in 2 years' time, he could have saved his money, used half for another project, then invest half 2 years later. And this is a new thing I found, which is a big challenge. And I ran it up. I said, also consider the new challenges after COVID. So I said there's a reduction in energy demand, which is everybody that said they wanted renewable energy before. I'm talking about private individual companies that use a lot of energy. Most of them are like, no, we're not operating at optimal capacity. So I showed a graph here that shows the demand in oil demand that is going down. And then the one that is unstable price of oil, although it's a challenge and it's also a blessing. So it's a mixed feeling. That's why you need expertise in all these things that we'll do in Africa. You will see how I end the presentation. So here I was talking about oil is going down, the price of oil is going down, it's not stable, which is also a blessing for renewable energy, if you understand what I mean. But at the same time, generally, people are not using a lot of energy. You see some African countries, use Zimbabwe as an example. They are not having load shedding now. I want to believe that is because there is a low demand for energy. But once everything resumes and all the mines and everyone resume, they will return back to load shedding. That's no rocket science. I said that here, even on Nigerian TV, Channels TV about South Africa. I said it on the South African TV station like during lockdown that there's no load shedding because nobody is working. Once the work starts, there will be load shedding, which is happening now. So I also spoke about delayed investment in projects, which I've mentioned, and then uncertainty in the employment. It's also a very important and critical topic or sensitive topic. When you say solar brings new job, are people able to migrate from coal to new solar? What happens to the workers? There's a technology of solar like the CSU technology that you're able to bring workers from one side to the other. So it's also very sensitive. So I'm just putting this as things that we need to consider. Yes, there are methods of transition, but we're in a new world now. If they tell me 2 years ago all of us will be covering our nose, no one will believe. But it's our new reality, and we need to take it into cognizance. So I said way forward. I put 4 A's. Is it available? Whatever we are changing to or we are transiting to, is it available in that place? Is it applicable to that place? Is it acceptable by the people of that place? And is it affordable by the people of that place? I'll use an example of nuclear plant for you. It's available in Japan, it's applicable in Japan, but it is not acceptable. If you understand what I mean. Geothermal is not available in Nigeria. It is available in Kenya. It's applicable in Kenya. Yes, the people of Kenya, one way or the other, have accepted it, but can they afford it? If we put it on financial terms, in the real sense of it. And I've put the last slide, which says, my own suggestion will be what someone mentioned here, which is energy efficiency, number one, which is reducing our consumption. If you go to all those large industrial plants, sometimes changing their motors or changing to variable speed drives, general energy efficiency is a resource that every country has, which means even in your own house, you need to reduce how much energy you consume. You don't have to use all these halogen lamp when you can use an energy saving lamp. By the time that every one of us reduce our consumption by 50%, it's more like building another 50% extra capacity. So that's why I'm also preaching energy efficiency. And I said mixing energy efficiency with renewable energy will double what we are getting, because before you are using, let's say, 50 megawatt, it's now reduced to 30 megawatt. So I'm only building 30 megawatt plant for you. And then, of course, unleashing all of us working together. And I'll put a picture of Wakanda here. I'm shocked that you can't see it. I'll send you the slide afterwards. So I put it, I
Okay.
said, this is my words. We need to develop a fair, robust, realistic energy mix based on each region's available resources. What that means is sit down in Togo, sit down in Morocco, I mean West Africa, SADC, wherever you are, sit down and say, okay, this is what we have. We have sun, we have wind, we have water. How do we do it? If it's East Africa, they have geothermal, they have solar, if you understand. Sit down
Hmm.
and map it out. This is what we want, and this is our mix: 90% wind, 30% solar, 20% this. If you understand what I mean. Yes, for example, in Nigeria, if we go out, if Nigerians go out and start renewable energy at a large scale and keep the base load of what we have now from 7 gig, imagine if you build a 10 gig of clean power. We already surpassed whatever you are generating from that green. So you don't have to say today we are closing all our gas plants. When we have gas and we have clean gas that you can use, if you understand what I mean. So the next one is support the policies and be consistent. One of the problems you have is policies are not consistent. In South Africa, in IRP 2010, they said CSP and CSP is going to be a major technology of the future. By 2016, CSP was thrown out. Imagine if you are investing in, let's say, biogas, and the country say in the next 100 years we are going to do a lot of biogas. You put $100 million, and 2 years later you read in the newspaper that there's no more biogas in that company and in that country, or they don't want biogas again. You see consistency in policy, so it can also be a problem. I said we need to upgrade our infrastructures. That's a talk for another day. Infrastructures in Africa, like for example, Nigeria, I think Nigeria has an installed capacity of more than 7 gig. We're only able to evacuate 4 gig based on dilapidated infrastructure. The same with other African countries. Many people are still using the infrastructure that were built by the forefathers before independence. It's not done like that. Next thing, we need to start rolling out green energy now. Nigeria is doing it, South Africa is doing it, Kenya is doing it. A lot of African countries, Namibia, Ghana, Ivory Coast, many of them are rolling out green energy, but we need to make it like matter of emergency. Of course, last two is encourage utilities like ESCOM, PHCN, not to see solar, wind, or IPPs, independent producers, as enemies. We're not fighting because they always see them as enemy. No, we're just all trying to solve the same problem. And I ended the slides of my presentation by saying, leave politics out of this. It is our life. So yeah, thank you very much. I know I've spoken a lot, but when it comes to speaking about my passion, it's something I'm very
No, no,
dedicated
no.
to.
It's been amazing listening to you for the past 17 minutes. It's really enriching, and I like the fact that you are very realistic, about it. Yes, it's true that we need to transition to a more sustainable energy. But then there are some things that need to be put in place: the economics, the infrastructure, and also the jobs, which is quite interesting coming from you. Yeah. So I like to know, Toyosi, if you look at the role of young people in the energy industry, right? Uh, I'm not sure there are many young people, that are doing amazing stuff, just like you. So what do you think could be the challenge, and then how can this be solved?
Yeah, there's quite a number. Interestingly, you'll be shocked. There's quite a number of young people that are doing well. I've met people around the world, some at home, some abroad. But every
Hmm.
African you meet, like we know every African wants Africa to be a better place. Even an African that was never born in Africa wants Africa to be a better place. So, like I think I've mentioned this in one presentation before. I'll mention it again. There's a lot of opportunities in renewable energy. One of the people I work with mentioned something last week, and I was intrigued that there are 4 places now. I hope I remember. If you are not in those 4, you may not be relevant in the next few years. Number
Hmm.
one is renewable energy. Number one is renewable energy. Number two is automation. Number
Hmm.
three is IT generally. And number four is cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
Now, when we say those things, renewable energy, because the renewable is new oil. We are not going back to coal. I mean, it's very hard to find financing to finance your coal plant or nuclear or things like that, right? The sun is free and technology is improving every day. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you see it, solar is getting cheaper. You don't need any help from any government like subsidy. So young people, when I say why I mention those things is all of them are also needed in renewable energy. Automation is involved. You want people to have apps to check their date, like the way we do it where I work. You can check your consumption from your phone. You can switch on your geyser or switch off your geyser while you are not even at home. You see, everything has entered into each other.
Hmm.
So you nobody can lie to you. Like you know what you used, even if I'm the one providing you the meter and you are subscribing or buying with your airtime or whatever, you can see from your phone. And there are even technologies now that are available to the fact that it will tell you your kettle is using 4.2 watts or 4.2 kilowatts. So it will map out. And you can
Hmm.
even then take, and that's where data, cryptocurrency, and the rest, that's why data is also important. You after a year, you can change your. We can actually design or find the culture, energy usage culture in that area.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's and few people are the one that can do this. Most of all these things I've said, a lot is German, from whole Netherlands, from Finland, from Ireland, of course, the United States, UK, most, you understand? And every time I read LinkedIn and I see there's a trend now, a lot of us are raising money for like apps, and people are making it like a mobile app, delivery app, a lot of things. You can see African young people were following in that trend. We're the new set of billionaires. And like me now, I already have a part of renewable energy that hopefully I also become a billionaire. But not about me. Rather make an impact to a lot of people. I already found that and I'm working on it. So yeah, the opportunity is endless. There are a lot of young people doing, and I will encourage more to do. So this level of learning how to even troubleshoot, commission, or a lot of things. I don't do commissioning, despite how I'm involved in solar. I've mapped out a niche for myself in the value chain. So there's a lot where you can actually plug yourself in. So I encourage them. You can reach out to me if, or it's always available online, but anyone can also reach out to me for any further clarification.
Thank you so much, Toyosi. It's really been an engaging moment with you today, and actually, because it was so interesting. It was supposed to be a 30 minute chat, but then we are in almost 40 minutes. So I want to thank you again for honoring this invitation, and then we also hope to have much more conversation of this nature with you in the nearest future.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, all right, viewers. Thank you so much for being a part of us today. Once again, my name is Aibami Adedini, and I'm the founder of the Energy Intelligence. What we seek to provide is to promote sustainable practices across the sectors with a special focus on Africa. Thank you so much once again for joining us, and please enjoy your day. Bye bye.